how do you center in your freedom? That is. Now I'm trying to answer this, trying to keep it reasonably simple. Centering in your freedom is the easy way to say it, is to come into your being. Is we can get caught up in the attachments of life and then all the doing of life. And again, because we got to do in this life to live it, we got to engage in the every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and that creates the doing. There's the ebb and flow of things, where the being isn't caught up in the every action is an equal and opposite reaction. The being is of the oneness. So when you come into the oneness of yourself, the being of yourself, is you're coming into that state of freedom. And now the challenge is to be able to hold that state of being within yourself, while at the same time engaging with the doing of life. So that's the easy way to describe it. How do you center yourself in freedom? So a simple example would be you physically center yourself. I'm not going to explain that. You energetically in your breath come into the breath, come into the beautiful pause at the end of the exhale. Then you mentally center yourself in your mind. So there's the thoughts, you're not your thoughts. You detach from your thoughts. Here's the minefield. Here's my mind is now open. Now I come into the awareness of my mind. I'm the watcher, I'm the listener, I'm the feeler. And then within that awareness, there's a beautiful presence. And when you recognize that presence, that's the presence of being. Now you're in the being. You found the oneness within yourself, and you're just in the being of that. And then when it becomes a reflection, and that's the doing. So when I look at my mind and I engage in my mind, I'm in the reflection all the time. In my body, I can be in the action and reaction of my body all the time. But when I come into the being, I'm in the oneness. So it's attuning to that oneness is we begin to attune to the freedom within ourselves. If I was going to go further into it, is really coming into the power of your crown chakra, your freedom. Really coming into the power of the crown chakra, you really have to deal with mortality. You have to deal with death and what death really is, as opposed to what we think it is, what death means to us, and also looking at our true nature. So what I mean by that is, if people look at death as the end, the final, it's over, it's all done, is their identity is in the limitation of life and this experience, as opposed to the limitless state of our experience on life. And what I mean by that is, and I'll go back to the root chakra again, you center yourself into the present moment. Is at a personal level, you'll say, I'm in the present moment. Is when you, and that's a personal truth. So who are you when you're continuously present? That's your personal truth, and it's expressing itself spontaneously in every moment. So that's that living moment within you, and it's your personal experience of it. Is when enough of yourself comes into its spontaneous self in the moment, is you won't feel that you're just in the moment, but you'll have the realization is that you are the moment itself. So that moment itself is limitless. That's a universal state. So when you look at the freedom of being, is you really kind of feel that at a personal level. You feel free in yourself. But then when you go into the not just the being in the moment, but being the moment itself at a crown level, is then you're coming into the true freedom of your infinite self. Is you're coming into that infinite experience. And as your identity shifts from one to the other, from doing to being, and then not just being in the moment, but being the moment itself, is we're shifting more into a higher sense of consciousness, and that's what we are too. So it's recognizing that experience. So how do you do that? The longer you are in your being, the more you'll feel the boundlessness of it. And at one point you'll realize that boundlessness is a permanent state. It's always there. Every time you attune to it, there it is. So that at one point you attune to it and you realize, this is actually my home. This is part of what I am. This is my reality. This is the truth. And that you reside in that truth. And you still have this body, and you've got the doing of life and the death of this body, so to speak. But whether the death of this body is the true death of you, that's what you gotta decide when it comes to finding freedom and finding and activating the freedom and the power of it in your crown chakra. So we can talk about this all day long. It's brilliant, it's wonderful, it gives you guidance, but no person can come to an absolute clarity within themselves about that until they go into that experience themselves directly and have that direct experience, literally have that direct experience. Is you can't read about it, nobody can tell you about it. The reading and the telling will guide you, but it's only when you're truly there yourself that you'll know. You know the difference. There you go.